welcome to Elimj Chatshow, a platform where we get to empower our community and various communities as well. A platform where we believe in empowering voices and transforming communities. In today's episode, we will be having Alan Waxman. He is the founder and CEO of Landmass London, which is a multi-award winning property design and development company. Good morning, Alan.
Well, very good morning, Elizabeth, and thank you very much for the very kind invitation.
Oh my goodness, I should say thank you very much to you, Alan, for accepting our invite to come to Elimj Empowerment Chat Show. Okay, so I'm going to welcome you to Elimj Chatshow. So today we've invited you to come and talk about a specific topic. So the topic is empowering space, empowering people, transforming challenges into opportunities in property and life. So I'm going to please ask you to introduce yourself to our viewers here. Thank you.
So very good. Good day. So my name's Alan Waxman. I have a residential property company called Landmass and started about 26 years ago, initially buying some little things to rent out. The first property I bought was a small flat in Walworth, south of the Elephant and Castle, for about £55,000, which sounds unbelievable today. It was a little 2-bedroom flat. Then started to buy some more rental properties. Then I started to give them a lick of paint, sold for some more profit. And then I went actually into development, which is what I found a bit more interesting. And on my first proper project, I actually had to move the location for the kitchen 3 times because clearly I was clever enough to realize that I didn't know what I was doing, but also clearly, hopefully, clever enough to realize the importance of space planning and layout. And I then got a feng shui specialist to come and check it. She was happy with it, and we actually sold it quite well in relation to the market. I then bought a couple of flats in Notting Hill, and they were 2-bed flats, and I did something strange for a developer. I changed them not into 3 beds, but actually into 1 bed, because again, I felt the space worked better. The actress Sienna Miller bought one, somebody else bought another, and again, relative to the market, we sold them quite well. Then started to go up market, and eventually in 2009, I did a project in Belgravia, which was actually under offer to another actress, Nicole Kidman. She then, fortunate for her, she got pregnant, changed her mind. But nevertheless, on that project, we won Best Interior Design in the country, Best Development in London. And on the back of that, people then came to me and said, Alan, we like what you do. Can you do work for us? So to date, we've done 34 projects as principal, buy, develop and sell. And we've done about 110 projects for other investors, developers, and private clients. So we now have 3 parts of the business: development, services, joining the dots. Development, we're out there looking for sites to buy, opportunity for joint venture partners to work with us. Join the dots, there we can offer our in-house architectural and design services to clients. And then thirdly, join the dots. Bit of a focus on hotels and big investment properties here in London, helping people to source and to sell. So that's a little bit of a snapshot of Landmass where we are today.
I am so impressed with what you've just shared here. I heard you saying there was a little bit of, you did the kitchen about 3 times and you had to move it. Did you have a bit of a panic over there where you're thinking, oh my goodness, how is this going to work? What do you
well, my builder at the time on that project was a chap called Derek. And as I say, initially we put the kitchen, when I say we first of all did the pipes in one area and the fixes, then I thought, no, it's not going to work there, then somewhere else. And then eventually we got the right location and then did all the, so we didn't actually physically move the kitchen, but we started the pipes and the wiring one place, then another, and then third time lucky. And at the time it cost me probably an extra £10,000 flush down the toilet, but in the end, it was money well spent.
Thank you very much for sharing that. So now I'm going to dive into some questions which I've got for you today. So regarding AI, I want to know how you've been using AI in your business. So the question will be, AI is reshaping industries. How do you see AI influencing the property development, and how has Landmass used it to improve design, maybe in terms of your planning or even in terms of your client experience?
You're not going to like this answer. We don't, right? Basically, we don't see it as, certainly not at this stage, sophisticated enough to help us with either layouts or design. The only time we've used it a little bit is, maybe if we're doing a post on LinkedIn to maybe get some fresh ideas, on the wording. But on the moment on design, we don't have any use for it. And even you see these ways of doing 2D to 3D sort of CGIs and all that sort of stuff. We do that by CAD, and it wouldn't really save as much time, and we don't think the quality is for us anyway, and the types of clients we deal with on the private client side especially, we don't feel the quality is good enough yet for our type of clientele. I'm sure that other people find it very useful at the moment. It's not that we're resisting using it, but we just don't find it actually helpful.
Thank you very much for sharing that. Well, in future, is it something you would like to revisit at some point?
Listen, we're not against technology, of course not. But it needs to be something which we feel is going to be a benefit for our clientele. They're the people that want us to give ideas, not what they want to do, but what we think they should have. And I don't want that to sound arrogant, but that's really our added value of coming up with things where they go, oh, I didn't think of that. And that's a good idea. Whether AI will be able to do that in the future, who knows? But it's getting cleverer and cleverer.
Thank you very much for sharing this. This is very, very interesting. And I love the fact that, you've just mentioned, against technology at all or any innovation. So thank you very much for sharing that. Now we're going to move on to my other question here. As you know, how the economy is going now or how it's been. So my question will be, what is one big challenge you have faced, or how did you turn it into an opportunity, maybe in the property world or probably in life in general?
First of all, I like questions like this because it's really about turning the negative to a positive. And I think that's one of the challenges for a property developer, because a lot of different people will look at the same property, but it's those that maybe see an angle that other people don't see. So I think a good example, I've got a couple of examples, if I may. One is a house in part of London called Belgravia, where you had lots of very big houses, and then behind them or adjacent to them, you had the Mews houses. The Mews houses are cobbled little streets where the rich people kept their horses. That's in the old days. Obviously, they're now all used as homes for people. And this particular house, it just had windows at the front. So it had houses around all the other three sides. So it was very dark. So what I did in order to turn the negative to positive, I took out a rear corner, put a glass retractable roof and a 10.5 meter waterfall going down to a Zen garden. So first of all, it introduced a massive amount of light. And secondly, it was, when people walked through a door, it wasn't quite what they were expecting to see. So that was, a particular example of turning the negative to positive. Another project that I bought was in Notting Hill, and I'd liken that to a little chocolate box. It was a little one up, one down. It was a bomb infill. It was only 650 feet square foot in total on two floors. Um, but it had a little parking place to the side, so you could have gone wider, and we were able to go up and we were able to go down, and we converted that into a house over 5 floors. We went down 2 floors, so we went down, we went up, we went wider, just to around 3,200 square foot to a 5 bedroom house. So from looking at the chocolate box to what we created was quite unusual, and the people who bought it are being very happy living there.
Wow. This is really interesting. You can see tears nearly coming out of my eyes for the fact that you've just gone down and how you've explained everything. It just shows that you work with passion. Everything you do, comes from inside of you.
You need a bit of passion to overcome all the
Mm.
challenges and obstacles that you face in property development. And I liken what we do a little bit to designing and manufacturing a brand new luxury motor car that's never been designed or manufactured before, but building it in an old factory. And the nature of what we do is, of course, we have loads of obstacles, challenges, problems, issues to sort out. Because the one thing that we don't have that the car companies have is a prototype. So they spend years on their prototype before they go into production. We don't have that luxury. So you do have to have a passion. You also have to have a great team, because this team has got to sort out all these issues during the process. And it doesn't matter how good your design is, how good your tender document is, how good your contract is with your builder, how good the builder is. We all know that on a project, we have a thing called a site meeting, right? Why do we have a site meeting? Because there's always things to sort out. Why are the things to sort out? Because that's the nature of the game. And so, you need to have the passion to push the things forward. And also, more importantly, or equally importantly, you have to have a good team to do all the problem solving during the process.
Thank you very much for sharing that. I love the fact that you've also talked about your team. But my question to you here, I'm going to tweak it a little bit. Despite that you've planned everything very well and you've got the right team, put together, have you for one day probably experienced a little bit of, maybe I'll call it a little bit of, say, in terms of your mental health, if things doesn't go well, do you have any strategy how you tweak it to ensure that you turn a problem into a solvable one?
Um, I don't. I think you're only as good as your team, and I've had situations to sort out, tricky situations, whether it's been with the planners, whether it's been with the banks, whether it's been all different sorts of things. But we have always found the solution. We have, I like to think, 100% track record for finding the right solution, and actually never really stressed me out. Other little things stress me out, big things don't. We're all different animals. We're all sensitive to different things. But you know, you if you have a good team around you, then obviously you're reliant upon them, they're reliant upon you, but you then should have the tools to sort things out in the best way possible.
Wow. Thank you very much for that. So, another question which I've got for you. This is quite relatable to entrepreneurs, and I can tell from the way you've spoken and the way you've analyzed things. I can tell you've got this powerful entrepreneurial mind, which you are sharing here. Just in case we've got, say, for instance, people who are looking at starting or who doesn't even know how to start, where to start, what to do. and they've got this a little bit of self-doubt in them, what would you say to them? What's the one word or two words that you would love to share with them?
First of all, there's no quick fix,
Mhm.
right? No matter what anybody says, whether they say, "Oh, you can use AI, you can do this, you can do that," blah blah blah. There's no quick fix. Um, the second thing is to start small. Whatever you're looking to do, the smaller the better, because that you're going to overcome problems, issues, what I've just talked about previously, and better to do mistakes on little things rather than big things. And it's the best way really of learning is on the job. And there's no substitute to actually doing a project yourself,
Ooh.
as against just giving advice to other people. It's very different when you're actually doing it yourself, because you have this thing that a lot of other people don't have, and it's called confrontation, right? Confrontation with buyers, sellers, professional people, builders, all the rest of it, which you have to overcome in order to sort out all the problems. And and I don't want to overdo this word problems, because hopefully there won't be too many of them, but that's in my view the best way of learning, and also what I call pounding the pavement. You have to get out there, you have to pick up the phone. If you're frightened of picking up the phone, then find ways to overcome it, do a communication course, or whatever you want to do, but you need to build up your contacts, build up your network. I remember when I first started looking for little flats to rent out, I would sometimes arrange viewings with agents, knowing pretty well that what they were going to show me wasn't going to be suitable. But it was the opportunity to build up that relationship with the agents, so that when they had something else, they took you seriously and gave you a call, as against somebody else. So it's building up your network with the people who you think are going to be most helpful. And if you have this opportunity of starting on something yourself or joining somebody, getting involved, and as I say, doing it yourself, as against to just watching other people do it.
Wow. I love how you've just shared that. Um, Thank you. Thank you very much for going in depth with that question. Because I've been around a lot of people who doesn't even know where to start. Some of them, they've got the capital, but they're just so scared of even starting. So I love the fact that you said start small. Over to you, please.
Yeah, well, that's why, maybe the first one that you do is just to rent out, right? Then you don't have the pressure of having to sell it. You get a feel for how to buy the property, how to negotiate on the purchase, how to do it up in the best way possible. One little tip is on making offers. Let's say, for argument's sake, the property is £500,000 to purchase. The agent wants more than anything certainty, right? Their commission, whether they sell it for 450,000 or 550,000, doesn't change much. What they want is certainty. So ask yourself, is it better that Joe Bloggs, who they don't really know, who they've just met a few days before, makes the offer? Or is it a recognized lawyer in the area who makes the offer on behalf of the buyer? So my little tip is to, first of all, get any offer made directly by your lawyer, who can then say that they are instructed by XYZ. This is the price. This is the timing for exchange and completion. If you want to get a step further and really be taken seriously, then this is something else that you should do. before your lawyer makes the offer, you share with them 10% of the purchase price, which would be the exchange monies, and put that and transfer that into their client account. Then the lawyer can then say, we act for XYZ, we are in funds for the deposit, blah, 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 blah. And that will put you right at the top of the tree and right at the top of being taken seriously by any agent or whoever you're looking to purchase a property from. And I did that on my last property, and initially my offer was rejected. And I said, that's fine, thank you very much. 2 weeks later, they came back and said, actually, no, we'll take it. So, because they know the money's there.
Thank you very much for sharing. I'm kind of like nearly tearful, but thank you. I love that. I love that. Thank you. Okay, I've got one final question for you, which is our tagline question. And the question is, Alan, what is your empowerment legacy? And how would you hope your work or your influence continue to empower our community and various community all over the world?
I think everybody has obviously different ideas, different passions, all the rest of it. I think at the end of the day, property is about product, right? You know, people come and go, but the product stays. And for me, it's how you can create something which creates a bit of interest or a lot of interest, a bit of excitement. And I liken, especially on the houses that we've done, I liken them to a TARDIS. I don't know if you remember Doctor Who, where it had the small telephone box where the doctor went into and then it opened up. So whatever you saw on the outside was very different to what you saw when you walked in. And that's, to me, one of the buzzes of creating something where what they see on the outside looks very obviously nice and stylish and all the rest of it. But when they open the door, they go, wow, I wasn't expecting to see that. And that we've done, I like to think on our last 3 or 4 different house projects. And I think that it's really, really interesting for potential buyers to have that experience. Another thing which I'd also like just to add is something which I think historically has been very much overlooked, and that's how layouts and space planning. And I'm a great believer, it doesn't matter how good the finishes are, if the layouts are no good, it's still rubbish. And I actually, when I employ or look to employ an architect or a designer, I do something which I don't think many other people do. I give them an unmodernized property in the CAD format, and then to come back to me a week later on how they would redesign it. Obviously, I give them a little brief. And what happens when they come for an interview, they come with their beautiful portfolio. I'm sure many of the viewers have met architects, designers, and they share their portfolio. This is how good we are. But what you really want to know is how do they think? And by giving them something to come back to you a week later, you get to understand how they think. Yes, their portfolio gets them on the football pitch, but to score the goal, they've got to come up trumps with their fresh layouts. And interestingly, you'd be surprised how many don't fulfill that obligation. And they may have trained for many years, but it's finding those that have that feeling and that real understanding, and that is worth gold. Because when it comes to design, I separate very much the layout to the finishes. It doesn't matter whether you're doing a project in Bradford, Birmingham, Brixton, or Belgravia. the layout is just as important in each location. When it comes to finishes, yes, each has different types of budgets, but one thing to remember, and I leave this with you, it costs the same amount of money to put one color on the wall as another color. The question is, which color? And that is something that you need to have, obviously, the best advice you can get, and it makes a massive amount of difference.
Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you so much. It's so powerful how you've just finished the words over there. And I love the way that you've also come to support our community, to share your expertise here.
That's very kind. And if anybody wants to get a look at what we do, then feel free to have a look at our website, which is Landmass, landmass.co.uk. So thank you very much indeed, Elizabeth.
You're welcome. Just in case people would like to get in touch with you, have you got any specific social media that you would like people to reach out to you on?
Well, we're on, you can find us on LinkedIn, either the Landmass page or Alan Waxman. The same on Facebook, we have a Landmass page, and on Instagram, Landmass London, where they can see quite a lot of our work as well. So different people like different things, but if they go onto our website, you have contact details there, or they can email me directly at Alan, ALAN, at Landmass, landmass.co.uk.
Thank you very much once again, and hope to see you next time. Very much for tuning in today. I hope you've enjoyed today's segment. If you've got any question about what we've shared, feel free to drop it in the DM below. Or if you've got any specific thoughtful leaders that you would like us to interview or to bring onto our platform, please feel free to either private message me or email me, or maybe you can leave that as a comment in any of our videos here. So thank you very much for tuning in today, and hope to see you next time. Cheers.